second in a series of videos I'm doing on wing checks. So this is some of the equipment I've made, helps me measure and check my wing. So fairly straightforward really. What you need is, ideally you want your manual with the full line length for the wing. Mine is an Eden 28. So these are the line lengths actually from the hang points on the carabiner to the tissue side of the material, so right up to the edge of the underside of the wing. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail and show you how to measure a wing. The other thing I do is show you how good the lighting is in here. So what I've done is I've transposed the line lengths out of my manual and put them down in the table, and then I've created a couple of areas here for the actual measurements from the left and the right side. So these are the measurements I've taken from my wing last time I measured it, and here I've just worked out where there's a difference between those measurements, so it's either positive or negative difference. So what we'll be looking to do is to try and get these by a series of tying knots to within plus or minus 10 millimeters. But the brake lines down here, I don't always bother measuring all the brake lines individually, but you can do that if you want. If you do that, then you're looking for plus or minus 25 millimeters. The other thing you can do, if you want to, you can play about with a spreadsheet, is you can look at the symmetrical difference between the lines between the left and the right side if you want to do that, and that will give you an idea of whether it's maybe you changed a line in the past, put a new line on one side and you didn't change them in pairs, so maybe that's gone out a little bit. So that will give you an idea about that. And then I can actually, on these variances as well, I can actually apply a correction. So I can basically effectively shorten the total length of the lines between the actuals and what was specified by putting a number in here, maybe up to 25 millimeters, something like that. Effectively then it keeps the lines so that they're maybe they've all shrunk a little bit, so you want to see that you've still got the same shape on the wing, so you can do that as well if you want. Anyway, it's pretty straightforward really. This is just so I can record what I've actually done, and then check what adjustments I need to make afterwards. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then as for the actual equipment itself, pretty simple really. These are things that I've just made, mostly with things that were hanging around the house. So I have a slider here, which basically I fix it so it's tied against the wall. So just so that when you tension it up, it doesn't move. Some weights. These are some diving weights. You want around about 5 kilograms, maybe slightly more, just to allow for any of the friction in the device and the sliders and this as you go. So a little bit more maybe. A pulley. That was actually the only thing that I really bought that I didn't have for this. This was a pulley off eBay with a bearing, and it was about £1.50. Various nuts and bolts you'll probably find lying about. These were actually from some old gutters. The actual supports for the gutters were about 10mm bolts that I've used there. This pin that comes out there is actually where where you put the hanger, where your carabiner would go. So that goes through there. Couple of old drawer slides. These are just random bits of wood I had in the garage, and a little bit of aluminium, a little bit of stainless steel I had hanging around. So basically, as I pull that to tension it out, I'll try and get that. So as this is pulled here, then the weight lifts off the floor, and that gives you the correct amount of tension that you need on the lines to measure the length. I usually have this on a table, and you need to be able to mount them probably about, I don't know, depends on the line length, but around about maybe 8 meters apart. On the other end, or at the other side, another small table. So I usually run it from my conservatory into the lounge, but you could do it anywhere. I've got just basically a laser tape, so you pay various amounts of money for this. This one was about £20. It actually will record about 20 measurements. So you perhaps see the little red light there at that end. Get that into view. So when I press a button here, it'll give you a measurement. So you can keep pressing it. Usually what I do is I take, as I tension it out, so as I'm pulling this back, this little slot here is where the underside of your wing from the nut. So the knot usually is on this side, and the tissue of the wing is on this side. So if you're using this to actually pull this back at this end, and take the reading. So you just take it till you've got some consistent readings, maybe do it 3 or 4 times so you're getting the same sort of reading. Try and make sure that you've got that spot at the other end in the centre if you can. So you want it roughly in the centre of that. And then put those down in your spreadsheet, and that's pretty much it. This is just some random bits I would have had just to build the height up. So I had this at the same sort of level all the time. So obviously, you want it to be as level as you can. And that's it really. That's what I use for doing my line measurements. Really all it cost me was about £20 for this, and £1.60 for that pulley. So pretty easy to make. Just see what you've got around the house. You'll be able to put something together. Anyway, so that's it really.